Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie Podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian, and joining me, as always, is your co-host, Jim.
Spaceships are out, submarines are in. Film at 11.
Well, are we going to watch that Wing Commander movie? Is that what we're talking about? Because that was very submarines in space.
Okay, it was. God. Well, because it had
really
Jorgen
was.
in it.
Yeah,
it's got
it really did.
Captain from Das Boot, you know. It's like, yeah, it's going to be a submarine movie.
What a waste of him and oh God, Sark, David Warner.
Of every dime spent.
Every. Anyway, also joining us is your co-host, Hunter.
Welcome to the Space Game Junkies.
Also joining us is your co-host, Spaz.
Ew.
And we have some guests this week, my friends. Joining us all the way from Norway. It's about 2:30 in the morning over there, I think.
That's correct.
I'm just going to say your first names because I think if I tried to say your last names, I think it would be bad for everyone. We have Anders and Avon. Avon?
Even? Close enough.
Avon?
Yeah, let's go with that.
The guys behind the VR and non-VR kind of tug-of-war space strategy game thing called Age of Space, which is currently in development. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Now, folks listening to the audio version of this, we are going to be playing the game in a little bit live. So just like, if you might have a better experience, I've said this before, but you might have a better experience watching the video, if possible, but we'll try and keep you updated. We're not very good at this, but we'll try and keep you updated as to what's happening as we do it for those folks listening to just the audio version. So let's start at the beginning. When did Age of Space come to be? What was the impetus of it, and how long have you been working on it?
Well, it started actually all back in January 2016. I think I just got tired of the things I was doing on my day job, and I was starting to look into game development. And yeah, from there I just went from being a mobile game to a PC game, and then I added some VR and multiplayer, and now we have kind of a good concept of what we're gonna make.
Did you have a background before you started on this, or you just like one day you're like, I'm changing course?
Yeah, well, I do have some background in programming. I've been programming for like 10 years, so that helps. But on the art side, I had to learn a lot of stuff, and luckily now I don't do all that stuff alone anymore. So yeah, but I did learn some new stuff as well.
Nice.
So yeah, that's kind of, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's how it started, and it's just been a huge experience from that. And we've been adding to the team, so we're now a team of 4. And yeah, I think, like I said, that we have a concept that we want to go for now.
So to give folks like the quick rundown, what is the concept of Age of Space?
Very simply put, it's kind of a tower defense versus game. It's heavily inspired by a game with a very similar name called Age of War. I don't know if you guys played it. It's kind of it's an old Flash game actually. It's very simple. Yeah. So basically, what you do in that game, you have it's in 2D space, and you just click on units, and they're gonna march over to the other side and kill anything on the way. So that's kind of the first inspiration, and then obviously the huge other inspiration is EVE Online that I have played for like 10 years plus. So it's kind of a combination between those two.
What's EVE Online? I don't.
Says the man who has multiple accounts and plays it on how many monitors?
So Age of Space.
So
I've been there myself, so I'm not going to say anything.
Excuse me. So right now the game is basically Is it always going to be 1v1, or are there going to be more ships involved? Like right now, it's a 1v1 game. Basically, is it always going to be like that? Like, will a single player have like fleets? Like, what is like the plan for this?
We have discussed the possibility of having like a 2 versus 2 system, but we need to do some changes in the game mechanics in order to get that to be meaningful in a way. But we do like to play with friends against other people in other games, so it's natural to think that way in this game as well. So we are looking into it, and technically it shouldn't be a huge problem, but as of right now, it's only 1 versus 1, where you are kind of the commander, you know. So it's not one ship; you're basically the commander of a fleet.
Yeah, and as much as we're focusing on the battle aspect, a large chunk of the game is the sort of fleet customization, ship tweaking, weapons and modules and all that jazz. So it's not just the 1v1. We're trying to give you a lot of options, you know, tweak your stuff, pimp out your spaceships and stuff like that.
So that's not in there yet. I'm guessing, because I did look at the fleet setup thing, and there's just like a picture of a fighter there right now.
Yeah,
so
there is some minimal interactions you can do with it. You can click on the weapons, but it doesn't actually work yet. So it's kind of a preview on where we're heading with it. So I guess the fleet customization and that part of the game is going to be heavily inspired by EVE Online and sitting in like editors like PIFA. You probably know that, and like tweaking your settings, finding the best possible outfit, and trying to surprise the opponent and such. So that's going to be a huge part of the game. I think I'm going to spend most of my time in that part of the game, actually.
So how do you come across? How do you customize your ships? Is there like, do you get like credits upon succeeding at a match, and then you use that? Like, it sounds like there's a meta game involved with upgrading your fleet. How do you conceptualize that?
Yeah, there's going to be some player progression where you can update some stats, but the thing is that you're going to be given kind of a very basic setup in the beginning, and then you can add to that and try out different types of setups. And then the game is going to change over time, because we are planning to make a service behind the game that's going to look at all the equipment that's been used throughout the day, and then it's going to modify the prices just barely from day to day. So over time, you're going to see modules being more expensive and less expensive. So you have to change according to that, because 1 month missiles could be really cheap and good to use, and if people find out that they're really good to use, then the prices are going to be higher maybe in the next month. So you have to you can't just go on a forum and find the perfect setup and just stay there. You have to adapt to the changes that's coming.
Yeah, and to flesh that out a little bit, like every ship has a set number of weapon slots, right? And you can choose among different weapons, and then we also have what we've so far dubbed modules, which are typically like boosted shield gen, and you can have repair bots and maybe mines and stuff like that. And you use 2 different resources, what we call the power and bandwidth, right, to sort of tweak the levels of these either weapons or modules. So in between these 3 things, the overclocking and underclocking, and then you have the weapons and the modules, each ship will have many options, and no ship and no fleet will ever be exactly the same, unless, of course, somebody figures out the absolute winning combination.
So in the matches themselves, because I played a couple earlier, it didn't seem like you had direct control over the ships you built. You just built them and then they did their thing. So is the strategy in preparing for a match by tweaking your ships and then knowing which ships to build when. Is that?
That's basically it. And you can also aid your fleet by clicking on enemy ships in order to get them to be primary target. And then the rest of your ships. Yeah, that's a huge part of it. And
I
also
didn't
you can
do
select
any
your,
of that. I didn't do any of that.
Okay. That's just going to play out.
I was just build. Mine, come on, build. I didn't click any enemies. I just...
You're playing it like Return to Space Battles, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have like the major sort of design direction we're going in is that for the sort of elitist jerk details guys, they can sit all day and twiddle in the fleet design and find all these optimal combinations and stuff like that, or you can just pick a preset and go out and have some battles. But once you're in the battle, your role is of the commander, right? So you give the sort of, you set the strategy, right? You tell your fleets your goals. So focus on the support ships, focus on the capital ships, focus on the mothership and stuff like that. And so you just give the sort of overarching strategic commands, and then you have the individual ships have their own unique AI, which you can also fiddle with in the ship customization. So you can, for instance, have your fighters prioritize enemy support ships and stuff like that. So it's really up to each individual player how much or how little they want to dive into the underlying mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense. I see.
So basically, a ship could have like a set of primary and secondary targets that it likes to do automatically, and then you can, for the battleship, for instance, you have like 16 weapons, and all of those 16 weapons you can set up differently. And who the weapons are going to primary target and stuff like that. So a lot of the time it's going to do good choices by default if you set it up correctly. But it's very, very big part of the game to kind of primary targets in order to get them down really fast.
Right. Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I can click. I'm doing some single player here just to test out. And I'm like, oh, yeah, there's a bomber. I can click on that bomber, and it says bomber. And, oh, yeah, I can do stuff to it. Okay, I can. Yeah. So that is now my primary target if I select that bomber.
Yes. And if you scroll in, you can see that the ships are targeting you see your projectiles are flying towards it.
You can also move around with the WASD and, right-clicking. It's going to, move the camera around.
I was just using the right click. I got to build some more. Oh, boy. So the thing about this is, even though you don't have direct control over these ships, there's still a lot of plates spinning at one time. So you really have to know what you're building. Oh, my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Absolutely. And know what you're building and know what the things you're building are going to do, and if you want to fiddle with what they're doing, or if you just want to let them do their thing. Oh, there goes your ship.
Yeah, the explosions are very come on, take out that battleship, come on, kill it. Anyway, there's a lot of ammo right here. Oh man, they're taking out this big ship of mine just as it's coming out of the dock. That's hilarious. So each ship has its own AI?
Yeah. So they operate based on kind of their settings, who they are supposed to primary and secondary and stuff like that. And you can override that by clicking on ships. And a huge part of the game right now, as it's balanced at the moment, is to click on your own ships to get them repaired, because you can transfer shields with your support ships. So if you see that the AI is targeting one of your ships, you have to quickly click on that ship in order to get it repaired.
Oh boy.
Which, of course, assuming you have any support ships left alive.
Yeah.
Which you don't.
Yeah, right now there doesn't seem to be any tooltips to tell me what each ship does that I can see anyway.
Yeah. That's correct.
Which is fine.
But I guess if you're I hope that players are gonna be spending a lot of time in the fleet customization, and then they're going to be knowing exactly what those ships are capable of. So
that's
it's kind of it's kind of a problem for the first times you play it, I guess.
Yeah, like right now, I don't know what the big deal about each of, like, what's a battle cruiser, what's a battleship. I don't know what a difference between a corvette and a fighter and an interceptor is. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I understand.
Oh man, look at all
Corvettes are
that!
your friend.
Look at all that.
Now, will there be a tactical pause option for single player?
Say again?
Will there be a tactical pause option for single player?
Oh, like that. Well, we haven't really thought about that. That's interesting.
For multiplayer, it doesn't make sense, obviously, but for a single player, just so you have, as you're learning the game, it makes sense to have that option, not necessarily need it, but that option to be able to just sort of pause the action and sort of evaluate what you want to do next. You may have the ability to build disabled during it, but at least just you can take a bird's eye view and reevaluate what your next move might be. Give you more time to think.
Yeah, well, that's a great tip. It should take me 5 minutes to implement that, so it's not like a big problem.
Yeah,
so
and it fits really well with our plans for single player being sort of the slowly starting out part of the learning curve. So yeah, that would be good.
It would also be good for screenshots because you can get some impressive ones with all the action.
All the stuff on screen.
Yeah.
Now
but
let me.
we have Ansel installed, so you can stop and move the camera around and add effects and stuff like that.
I saw that. Yeah,
you can move all around the battlefield here. This is pretty nifty. Now there is going to be like. Please don't tell me that there's just going to be like 4 single player missions that are just basically a tutorial for the multiplayer. Is there going to be like actual single player content in this, or is it primarily multiplayer?
We're gonna have to go with yes to both of those. We will have single player content, and there will be a story mode. The function of the story mode will be to introduce you to the game. But that said, we're aiming for a story mode that sort of can stand on its own, but that's not going to be the main part of the game. The main part of the game is going to be the multiplayer, the battles.
Okay. I'm just, wow. Oh, lots of stuff is happening. Oh my God, that's a lot of ships.
Yeah. So one thing you haven't really explored yet is the mining options.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what that does at all.
Yeah, you're accumulating a lot of. So we have 3 different resources. Let's just call them red, green, and blue. And you're accumulating a lot of the 2 first, and not that much of the second. So you can reallocate your miners to better fit the kind of fleet you want to build. And if you're running low on gas or oxide intensive ships, you might want to increase that mining and stuff like that. And also we're experimenting with sort of randomly generated battlefields. So the amount of resources that are available to you coming in will differ from match to match and stuff like that. So you'll have to tweak your strategy accordingly.
Okay. Oh boy. Now what is defense mode? There's a button here. It says toggle defense mode. What is that?
It's something that you probably should use right now. It's meant to be like the final stance because it's not in the game right now.
Button.
Yeah, basically, it's gonna turn your mothership into a beast, basically.
And
so
there we
the
go.
mothership is gonna add to the battle, but the miners are gonna warp away. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the thing that's not in the game yet is that it's going to be a timer on 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, the motherships are ready to warp out. So, in a way, the battle could be over in 15 minutes. So, using the defense mode could be your last chance of trying to survive the last minutes before you can warp out.
Yeah, and we're sort of fiddling around with different concepts and ideas and what the different factions will do in defense mode, right?
Yeah.
We might have sort of heavy armor, just battering all the hatches and taking like only 25% damage and stuff like that. And then I have some wet dreams of having a ship turn into a battle mech and just going bananas on the enemy fleet and stuff like that. So yeah, we're on the drawing board there still, but definitely going to be some different stuff. And I think you all should vote for the battle mech idea. That would be awesome.
Hey, we love mechs around here at Space Game Junkie. We're huge into mechs. Just ask Spaz with his near 200 hours.
231 hours.
Oh, you've passed 200. Oh dear.
Yeah, I'm at 231 hours.
And the game's only been out what, 2 weeks, roughly? About 2 weeks, roughly.
Yeah.
Damn.
Since the 24th. Yeah.
So what is
I'm having that much fun with it.
What does a support ship do?
It transfers shields to your ships. So if you have a couple of support ships and you're able to quickly click on one of your allied ships, it's gonna be pretty much impossible to destroy because it's gonna transfer so much shield.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it's kind
basically
of
a healer.
Yeah. So if some of you have played the EVE a lot, they're going to recognize this mechanic from like bigger fleet fights where you have a lot of support cruisers. And yeah, it's kind of a game of trying to heal the primary targets and switching targets on the other side. So yeah, it's quite hectic to play this in multiplayer because you have to pay attention to what ships are being primaried.
Right. And even in single player, there are a lot of spinning plates in the air. Because right now I'm about to lose some ships. Got to make sure all my miners are doing their thing. It's... So what kind of... Because right now, there's really no, like... It's just a big open space. There's no, like, asteroids. There's no, like, terrain. Is that going to be a factor? Are there going to be, like, nebulas or asteroids or planets or moons? Or, like, are there going to be things on the battlefield that can change how you build, how you mine, how you fight, that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, we were having a kind of a discussion going on. This is kind of a holographic representation of the battle. So the thing is that you're the kind of the commander. You're viewing this from a holographic view. But we've also been experimenting with kind of the more classic way of doing it, to show it in space with kind of realistic textures and nebulas and all that stuff.
Okay.
And I can't really decide what I like the best because I kind of like the realistic look a lot, but then again, I really like the red and blue theme because it's very easily recognizable. So that's very good, and it's very easy to see the different what's your ships and what's the enemy's ships. That's more of a problem if you have the more realistic approach.
Well, you could still you could still have the wireframe. Like you don't have to have realistic graphics to have like asteroids. You can have like wireframe polygonal asteroids, you know, and still have this kind of look, I think.
Yeah, definitely. We did have some kind of holographic asteroids earlier, but the reason they're not in the game right now is just because I didn't like the look of them. So we're gonna have to find a different way of drawing them, I guess.
That's fair.
Man, how are they mining so much more than we are?
They're cheating.
Oh, really?
No,
definitely
not cheating.
That's one of my principles. The AI is not going to know anything it shouldn't know. It's not knowing anything about the data set that you couldn't know. So it's not cheating. But it's very optimized. It's going to choose ships that's very good counter for your ships.
Yeah, and I kind of like how it's like. It's almost kind of like saving it's almost like it's saving itself until like it can put out like 5 battleships at once, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and that's a good strategy because if you send them in waves, you know, you you have to split your fire. You can't just focus fire with each ship as it comes out of the dock, you know. So it's better to sort of save up a little bit and send them in waves instead of sending them one at a time.
And if you go in piecemeal, then they get picked apart before they can actually do any damage.
Exactly. Would you rather fight 200 ships once or one ship 200 times? So it's the same basic philosophy.
I had a question regarding the environmental aspects, like nebula or asteroids. Would those actually have effects on the battle in terms of, say, a nebula might disrupt missiles in orbit, or maybe something like an electrical storm that might, say, deflect some of your laser fire?
That would be really interesting, but it would be really unfair for the player that's prepared for like a missile-based setup.
That's true.
So I don't know how we could do that, but it would be cool for the variety.
Life isn't always fair. You can't prepare for everything. You can't prepare for everything. You know.
That's true.
Well, it could be something where maybe you have a featured map, and those effects would be in place, so people would build their fleet to match that.
So it could be something that's kind of seasonal. That this week it's going to be minus something, or in order to get the player to adapt to it. We're definitely going to do something about that, and kind of this week is going to be more difficult to get some particular type of minerals, and in that case you have to adapt your fleet for that. So
and we were also fiddling around with the idea of sort of like weekly challenges, so we'd tailor a fleet to be really, really hard to beat, and then we'll have like leaderboards and who beat it first, and with which ships and stuff like that. But that would also be cool to throw in, like, this fleet is situated in the middle of a nebula and shields won't work, or missiles won't work and stuff like that. Or this is a high gravity situation, so ships are flying at half speed and stuff like that. It's cool.
Now, right now, it's just about combat, but like, say in the single player, there are going to be other things that you might have in I'm guessing there's going to be a campaign. Like, will there be like search and rescue or something like that, or maybe getting out of a nebula or something like that? Like, what kind of plans do you have for the campaign?
Well, we haven't gotten that far yet on the single player or the campaign part, but the thing that I've visioned is that you're going to be meeting different commanders that have kind of a personality and a story behind them, and some of them are just going to be plain mean, I guess, and some of them is going to be funny, or I don't know. It's going to be some kind of personality that you're going to fight, and he's going to have a particular setup that you have to possibly adapt your fleet in order to defeat.
Okay, so you're going to actually have named commanders to deal with. That's interesting.
Yeah, so we don't know the details yet, but on how many it's going to be, but it's going to be different kind of challenges with different kind of fleet setups and stuff like that. So it's first and foremost, I guess, a learning experience. So we hope that people are going to love to play this in multiplayer. I think that's going to be a huge part of it, at least for my part.
Now, how is, like, are you going to have ranks for multiplayer? Are you going to have like any kind of progression in multiplayer? Like, will people have like titles they can win or anything like that, or kind of any kind of loot they can find if they win a match? They can have a special thing on their ship. Like, what kind of things are you planning for multiplayer?
There's going to be a ELO-based system where you kind of meet people from your own rank. I've kind of pictured kind of a similar, that's really popular these days, like a Rocket League kind of system, where you level up, get in a new class, or what you want to call it. And also you're going to be able to salvage the remains of a fight in order to progress and unlock stuff. And I think it's going to be both salvage and experience points.
Yeah, so we have lots of plans for especially the multiplayer. But so we'll have leaderboards, so you get your rank. Hopefully we'll have leagues. We'll have to see a little bit depending on the player base and stuff like that. But we want to have leagues and leaderboards within the leagues. We'll have a progression-based system, and most of it we'll have character frames. We'll have portraits and skins. We're fiddling around with skins, but that's sort of dependent on if we're going with a red and blue look or not. But we're definitely looking into both progression-based and rank-based rewards. These will all be cosmetics, though, no actual functionalities based on progression or rank.
Oh man, you should go all Diablo 3 out on these guys and like have like epic loot sets and for your mothership and things, things like that. You should totally just
yeah.
So you guys said you were doing this for mobile and VR and PC?
No, we don't develop for mobile anymore. But I did come quite far on that mobile game, and it was really funny. So might happen in the future, I think.
Because looking at this and basically your point of view, when you're in VR, does it do like room scale where you can actually walk around that table? Or do you just So my thought about the mobile thing, even though you're not doing it, but maybe you could do something like this for that, is with the whole mixed reality thing, especially because Microsoft's got headsets that are doing it now, plus people's cell phones. So if you put a target down on the table, so that the phone knows where the table is, and then you hold the phone up, and that's your view into that world. So then you could play the game by walking around the table with the target on it, and then as you move the phone closer and further, that's your zoom function, and so you would basically have that happening like on the table in front of you.
I know. It's mind blowing. It was one of the first ideas to do that, but the AR technology is too far ahead to do that right now, I think. But in the future, it shouldn't be really a huge problem to make a AR mode for this game, where you could do that if it really breaks through on like normal consumers, I guess, because that's the problem with both VR and AR at the moment. It's not going to be that accessible. You could do it with your phone, but I'm just concerned about the hardware on the phone, if it's going to be enough.
Yeah.
You could possibly have like a spectator mode that's only like a view, but I don't know. It's still, I don't know. But the idea is really cool.
It might need to be like an entirely other game, but I was just thinking about the whole like projected fleet display above the table kind of thing, and using that to zoom in and out by just moving your phone around. So I don't know. Yeah. Someday it's coming. I've seen some people do some silly stuff with it. Like it was I forget what company it is that makes toilets, but they made a virtual toilet app, and you can basically just put a toilet like anywhere, and then I saw one that was a little ruder. It kind of involved genitalia, but you could put a target somewhere, and then it would like hang a big wiener off the wall or whatever. It was interesting. So it's like people are screwing around with it, but I don't know that it's ready to handle the game plus the AR stuff yet. But someday.
Yeah, someday. And I think it's going to be after we release this game. But it could be an add-on or I don't know, something in the future.
Oh my god, I'm kind of holding my own a little bit better this time, you guys.
Yeah?
Should really try out the support chips.
Oh yeah.
I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah, they're really buffed. So if you have a couple of ports and you get to select your own ships in time, it's gonna survive most stuff.
Oh, I see that now. I see it. I think I just lost my big ship, though.
Oh,
or did I? No, I didn't. Okay, great. Oh, this is
Ah,
funny.
you're talking.
Yeah,
An
it's
idea just
very
occurred to me.
military.
Suggestion for perhaps two-player co-op mode, where
Okay.
where you have one player controls a mothership and its fleet.
Mhm.
The second player controls a smaller ship, say like a battleship, that's still larger than the
Oh,
ones
that'd
that the
be fun.
mothership can build.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, but it controls the support fleet. So its goal is to keep the mothership alive.
Yeah, that's cool. So the divider of responsibility. One of them is killing the targets, and one of them are aiding fleets. That's
Yeah, and
clever.
say, for example, the battleship can't build some of the larger ships because it's not the mothership, but it can build lots of fighters, and it builds them a little bit faster.
that could work. Yeah, definitely.
It could work for a 2v2 or comp stomp because people like their comp stomps.
Yeah.
We definitely do.
Cool.
Yeah,
I like
you're
how big
taking
the
note on
explosion
this.
is.
I am.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so that's one possibility. The other possibility is to add the ability to move your mothership around. And that way you could kind of switch roles and kind of take the heat for a while, and then you can move behind the other one and kind of hide. So there are some different possibilities for or you could just have them side by side, I guess, and just go all in. I don't know.
Or what you could do is have some friends be turret gunners on the mothership. Go all
Actually,
Battlestar
speaking of the
Battlestar Galactica
AR
on them.
mode that Jim was talking about, that could be interesting. A turret mode where you are using AR the turret.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, so you just use your phone to aim around the room.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That could be fun.
That could be fun.
Yeah, if you look in the
sh-
stream chat, I dropped that's an AR game somebody's working on where you're basically playing RTS on your kitchen table.
What?
Yeah, I need this shit in my life. I need it.
Wow.
Yeah,
That looks kind of
I've seen
amazing.
that before.
I'm not gonna make it. I lasted longer that time.
Yeah.
I think we had like at one of the expos we've been at, we had like 15 people in total at one over the AI. I think it was something like 15
pretty
out
good.
of like 150.
Oh wow. So does the AI for different ships, does it have different priorities? You know what I mean? Like, will fighters target different things than bombers target different things than battleships, and that sort of thing? Is like the AI commander doing the same thing you're doing and selecting priority targets?
Yeah, well, right now the ship customization options are static, so it's going to be same on both sides. And actually, even though the ships are kind of different, they have the same layout and everything. But the AI itself, the commander AI, is different from time to time because he has like kind of a personality, how aggressive he's going to be, and how much time he's going to, or how high he's going to prioritize good economy and that kind of stuff. So he has a slight different personality from each game. But the fleet setup is the same every time, as for now. But that's going to change, obviously.
Right. Okay. Chevany over on YouTube asked about DLC. I know this is super early right now, but do you have any like? It's kind of a weird question to ask this early, but like, do you have any ideas for what you might do post-release? Even though release, when do you think release might be? Let's get that out of the way. When do you think release might be?
A release, we are hoping to do end of Q1 next year, but we don't have like a. We're not committed to that date in any way, but that's what we are hoping to get, like some April next year.
That seems realistic. I mean, don't rush it. And
yeah, I mean, we're gonna focus on making a good game with a lot of content, and As for DLCs, it could be possible that this person has talked to me before. I don't know. I don't know who he is, but I have some strong feelings about DLCs. So the short answer is no. There's not going to be DLCs. Possibly.
Wait. What are your strong feelings about DLC? You can't just leave us hanging like that.
What about mods, though?
Well, again, DLCs first then. I just don't like the way that DLCs play in the industry at the moment. It seems like a lot of games kind of hold back on their content and sell the DLCs. I mean, they probably have planned 5 DLCs before they even release the game. I really don't like that. So I'm not going to do that with this game either. But of course, if it's a huge success, it might be an expansion in the future. That's different in a way. But we don't have any plans of kind of stripping the game down and having DLCs from the get-go. Not at all.
Oh, that's really good.
But we are already planning on adding more stuff as it goes along. Yeah,
that's different, but not taking extra money for it.
Yeah, and there might be free DLCs, right?
Yeah.
New ships, new weapons, new challenges, maybe even new factions and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. See, that's the kind of post-release support I like to hear about, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I
know people like survival modes too, see how long you can last.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We have that on the list as well. Survival mode definitely will be there.
Yeah, now is it like... So, like, right now it looks like it's just you versus another version of you, like, with a slightly different looking ship. Like, are there going to be, like, aliens? Are there going to be, like, asymmetrical sides, like in StarCraft and whatnot? Or is it going to be more symmetrical?
Well, each of the factions will be unique and different. They'll have their own ships, as you can see now. But currently, as you pointed out, the ships have the same loadout, the same weapons and the same stuff. But they'll have different weapons and different stuff and different functionalities. And we want to make them not just look unique, but feel unique in the way you play and stuff like that. So we might, well, I don't want to reveal too much, but we're sort of giving the factions personalities. Some might be a rich, high-tech faction. Then you might have a sort of a rebel, steampunk kind of thing going on with clunker ships kamikazing into your motherships and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So there's stuff in the works.
Yeah,
that is fantastic. So you're gonna have
we're gonna have like a mechanic similar to the ships in Eve where they have like a primary and secondary bonus, so you can kind of add points to different ship classes and how much of their bonus you're gonna how am I supposed to say this? You're going to be given a set amount of points that you can use on your fleet, so you can add to the primary and secondary bonuses of those of all your ships. So yeah, you can add, if for instance a fighter might be having a bonus for pulse lasers, so you can choose to add like 3 or 5 points to that primary bonus of 5% more damage, for instance.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
And of course, battle mechs. I know Anders is still telling me to slow down with the battle mechs, but of course, who's giant Shogun Japanese spacefaring samurai.
Who's saying that? No one's saying. I'm not saying that. I don't think anyone here is saying that. No, all the mechs. Give us steampunk mechs with gears and steam bottles and things. Mix it up a bit.
Like put hover tanks in there somehow. I don't care. Just
yeah, maybe we'll have like 5 lions flying around, and if you go into defense mode, they'll combine to be Battletron, the defender of space, or something like that. Maybe we'll see if we don't run into copyright issues along the way.
Yeah, nothing could go wrong with that. Nothing at all. No,
nothing at all.
It'll be great.
Now, I may have missed this for some reason. I am multitasking at the moment. Did you guys talk about potentially whether or not there could be ground combat versions of this?
Ooh, I could see that. That'd be
Like,
Or
you
air
know,
and ground would be interesting. You have
you know,
two layers.
where you have like troop battles that are kind of done similarly, or
Age of
That could be a
Ground.
2 versus 2 mode as well, I guess.
Age of Dirt. That's what you call it. Age of Dirt.
well, no, but like you know, if you want to do like a conquest mode where you go and
Hey,
you fight over a planet and then you land on the
Ooh.
ground and then you have to do a ground battle.
I love that idea.
Borrowing a little bit from Battlefront 2 OG Battlefront 2.
I love that idea. I love it.
Mhm.
That's a great idea. Maybe
And
that
a
could
little
be a
bit from
secret.
Star Wars Empire.
We'll call that an expansion pack.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
think we're in expansion territory now.
Or
but
maybe
definitely it's a good
sequel
idea
if we're
as well.
talking about like a meta map with planetary conquest. That sounds amazing though. That really does. That sounds super amazing.
Yeah.
It's noted.
We could have like giant space stations, and you're fighting the battle inside, and then you have like a boarding party going
Ooh.
around, and they have to disable the station before some sort of timer and stuff like that. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
Sort of like
that's
the
for,
missions in some of the Command and Conquer games, where you have
Yeah.
this really limited map to run around in, and you have those objectives to complete before you can move on to the next mission.
It could work for 2 versus 2 mode as well, where one of the players are in space and the second is on the ground. Could work.
That sounds amazing. All right, let's do some multiplayer.
Yeah, who do you want to fight? If you win over you're going to be the world champion, I guess.
That's not happening.
Not like there's a lot of competition at the moment.
We had
we
an
had a-
internal tournament, and Øyvind kind of came out on top.
Kind of came up on top.
Yeah, kind of. So, do you want to do the honor, Øyvind, or should I?
I can do the honors.
You're both
Yeah.
gonna win. It's not like there's gonna be a challenge. You're gonna kick my ass. I mean, let's just be honest.
All right.
Well, the pro tip is to watch out with the support ships and try to heal up your allied ships. That's a huge point.
I am terrible at that, so I'm going to lose. Just FYI.
All right.
I'm barely gonna put up a fight. This won't last long. Okay,
You'll do great.
I think it's found an opponent. So,
It has indeed.
so will you be able to choose your friends at some point? Like, I know right now it's random, but will you be able
Yeah.
to like have friend matches and stuff like that?
Yeah, sure. We have to do that.
Okay, good. Because there's a game we really liked that at first only had random matchmaking. What was it, Battlefleet Gothic? And we were like, what the ever-loving crap is this?
Yeah.
They patched in the ability to have matches with friends like 2 months after it was released. By then, no one cared. Which is
Isn't
really
it loading or is something wrong?
It's loading. Early access, ladies and gentlemen.
You probably didn't quit the game between the matches, did you?
I was only playing single player. Should I have quit between the
Yeah, I know. You need to actually quit the game.
All right. Hang on. Let me quit the game, and then we'll do and then I'll load it back up.
You should probably do the same, Øyvind.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a horrible bug at the moment. We haven't really paid much attention to the Steam matchmaking yet. We are going to make the local network mode first for the expos we're going to visit. So that's kind of been the focus.
Good idea.
All right. I hit multiplayer again. Let's see if this works this time. Yep. There we go. Opponent found. That was a lot quicker this time.
Yeah. Now you get to play the blue faction.
Oh, so great.
Oh, yeah.
I've been practicing with red, and okay.
The awkward thing about playing with a blue faction is that you're going to have like the icons of the other faction in your buy menu. But yeah, pre-alpha.
Well, it's just a placeholder for now, right?
Early access. Yeah, I'm gonna lose. I know I'm gonna lose. It's just, you know, how quickly will I lose? That is the question.
So, Brian, you're the blue player now, right?
Yeah, I am totally the blue player.
Even though, yeah.
And sure. Oh man, oh, that doesn't look fun. That doesn't look fun at all. Whoa. Okay, I'm still getting used. These camera controls are a bit. Well, you're in space, I guess, so they're supposed to be a little floaty, I suppose, but they're a little floaty. Oh boy. Woo. Okay. Hang on. Yep. Already dying. Okay, that's great. Blink.
Barton, you can use the mouse wheel to zoom, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
And you can use
but
R and F to go up and down.
R and F. Oh, look at that. It's like the wheel, the mouse wheel moves so slowly, though. It's like so slow compared to like the W and D keys. Yep, there goes one of my guys right there. Yeah, there we go. So, folks, right now we're playing. I'm playing blue, and who am I playing? Who am I playing right now?
You're playing me, Eyvind.
Okay, and yeah, I'm just getting my posterior walloped by a giant paddleboard. It's not going well for me. There was never any expectation that it was going to go well for me. Let's be honest, but you know, I'm gonna at least put up a fight. Maybe.
Kick
Wow.
his ass, Seabass.
It's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna. Let's just be honest. Like, no. Yeah, the victor's not gonna be me today.
You know, with that kind of attitude, you're not gonna win.
No, I know, right? It's like, be a winner. I feel the Beck song "Loser" is playing in my mind right now.
But I guess there's a lot of stuff you can learn from this. I mean, Eyvind has played a lot of times, and you have to. At least I know where the weapons are now, so I know which ships I should primary because I know where the guns are. So all of that kind of plays into the part to make some good decisions.
Right. Oh man. Yep. There we go. There we go. I will say in multiplayer, just to report a bug, the buy ships menu is very slow to respond. Like, it takes almost a second from my clicking it to
Is it a second?
It's a noticeable difference between because in single player it happened almost immediately, but in multiplayer there's a definite delay between me clicking buying a ship and the ship actually and the number actually going up at all. Just FYI.
Yep, I know about this because it's basically right now the red player is always going to be the server, and when you click on the ship, it's going to just have instantly going to execute your command. But in order for you to execute a buy order from the client, you have to go by the server, and after it's executed, you can update the count. So we could obviously kind of update that number to get a faster response. We probably have to do so, but then we could technically we could be refused to buy that ship on the server side, and then you are going to have a sync problem. So that's why we did it like that. But I haven't seen it being like second slow before.
Maybe it just seemed like a second. You can watch the video and see like the difference.
Yeah, we'll make a note of it.
Let's do another match. I want to last maybe a few. I just want to last maybe a few. Oh God! Right. All right. Hang on. Let me restart.
Sorry. Pre-alpha.
Pre-alpha, early access, ladies and gentlemen.
Do you want to host so you get your?
How do I host? I don't even know how to host.
Just click first.
Well, all right. Hang on. I'll click first. I'm loading the game now. I gotta say, it's running my video card a little hot as well. It's going up to about 84 Celsius, which is unusual for my video card. It's an older video card, but I figured I would just tell you guys, and I don't have any kind of liquid cooling. But
yeah,
which
Brian,
kind
it's
of
time to get that liquid cooling going, huh?
my next PC is going to have liquid cooling. Don't you worry. With no air conditioning in this apartment, it has to.
And you live in LA, so.
Yeah, I mean, it only gets super hot here maybe for 3 weeks, thankfully. But those 3 weeks...
It's a hell of a 3 weeks.
It really is a hell of a 3 weeks. We're not used to humidity, and that's like when we get all the humidity.
During that time of the year, Brian's always like, the spice must flow. And we're like, I don't understand.
It's like all the windows in the apartment are open, so you're going to hear everything because that's the only way the computer will run right now. And so you'll hear like everything outside. So I hit the multiplayer button.
All right.
Because they didn't believe they needed air conditioning in this part of Los Angeles. And that was short-sighted of them, unfortunately. Yeah. Anyway, but I just wanted to report that it is running my video card a bit hotter than just about any other game I've played. Like even Doom doesn't even Doom doesn't run this thing this hot. So just FYI, I just wanted to.
Yep, we are aware of that. But what kind of GPU do you have?
It's a GTX 770.
Okay.
Circa 2013.
So, Anders, would you like to give our host some ongoing coaching here? Maybe.
Yeah, sure. It's a bit delayed, but I'll try. Battle cruisers kind of go very good along with support ships. So I kind of like to use them in combination because battle cruisers have a lot of shield HP. So you have quite a lot of time to get your support ships over to your ship to heal them.
Gotcha.
And fighters and corvettes are really good on bringing down shields. The corvette has like 4 pulse lasers.
Is that what that is? Is that what that's all about? I see.
So fighters and corvettes are really good against shields. The interceptor kind of doesn't have a good role at the moment, so it's just there. It's very difficult to hit. That's the main strength, I guess. And then the support ships are really strong if you can select your ships in time.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'll tell you that. Okay, doing a little better. Doing a little bit better, you guys. Unless he's letting me win, which is possible. Which is totally possible.
I would never.
I hope not. I expect an unfair fight.
Any moment now, he's going to probably launch like 10 battleships or something.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's my life right there. Oh, man. So is that a Corvette with the laser thing? That must be a Corvette with the laser thing. Yeah, that must be a Corvette with a laser thing. That's crazy. Big, like 80 lasers coming out of this thing. Like a million freaking lasers. Oh, no, I'm going to lose. You sunk my battleship. Okay.
And obviously, there's going to be a lot of balancing here. We haven't really paid that much attention to that yet, but that's going to be a huge thing.
Balancing is never easy.
Right.
No, it's not. But we are going to be getting some help from that mechanics that I mentioned earlier, with the prices kind of adjusting according to the usage. So kind of OP weapons are going to be priced higher over time. In that way, it's going to not be that overpowered. So, yeah, that also...
Because it could eventually push the cost to be unsustainable. for
Yeah.
that particular build.
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah, there's a thing to be said for imbalance, though. Like, I think one of the best games ever made is Master of Magic. And that game is woefully imbalanced. Horribly imbalanced. Which is great, because you could do all kinds of nasty things in there. Because it's only single player. This is fun. Whoa, did I win?
Yes.
How did that happen? You let me win. You let me win.
No comment.
You let me win. That was just to stroke my freaking ego.
I would never.
It did feel nice though. It did feel nice. It felt satisfying.
That's good.
So since you're this is going to be mostly multiplayer. It's going to be a multiplayer focused game. So are you going to have any kind of in-game voice chat, or are you going to let people rely on things like what we're using, like Discord and stuff like that?
Well, I haven't really I haven't thought about that so much. I think most of the gamers today kind of use Discord. It's only if you meet up randomly with people, that could be a good option.
Yeah, it's kind of weird though. Like, I don't know about you guys, but whenever the game has its own built-in voice chat, I always turn it off. Like, always.
Yeah.
Same.
Every
Same.
freaking time. So it's like, I don't even know why people include it anymore. It's like, yeah, it's great, but it's like not that great.
And I'm sort of
Even
on the
CCP did away with theirs.
Wait, Eve
personally, I'm
Online.
sort of on the fence if we even would want the players, at least opponents, to be able to communicate with each other, because
That's gonna be canceled.
the internet is a toxic place unless you know
You know what you
usually
should
get to
do?
know a lot about your mom's social life.
You know what you should do? You should have only text chat, and when someone types a text chat to the other player, it should be in another language because there's like no universal translator. So you should be like being able to insult the other player left and right, but they have no idea what you're saying because like you're an alien. I don't know
Yes.
what you're saying. You should do that.
Yeah, sort of
Or
like old
simplify it down
school World of Warcraft kind of thing with the Orcish and stuff.
Yeah, we could add like emotes like GG and stuff like that, I guess. But
Yeah, I mean, you could simplify it down to emotes too.
Hmm.
Just simply, good job or
20 poops.
thumbs up.
20
Yeah.
20
Right.
poops.
I'm not saying emoji because I would get spammy, but the idea that you can just spam a reaction, good game, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we should probably start wrapping it up because I am super tired and it's the middle of the night for you. And one of you has to get up in 2 hours. So this seems like a good time to wrap it up. So, gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for joining us to talk about your game. Friends, again, this is very early, so there's a lot of polishing and content to be added. FYI, there's a lot coming. We're looking at least around a year until release. And we should totally have you guys back on once the game is done, so we can play that one.
We'd love to be back.
Yeah, and talk about the journey from. So you guys, wait, one last thing. Are you guys gonna go to early access? Are you gonna start selling early access? Are you gonna have like a closed early access? Like, how are you guys gonna do it?
We hope to avoid it.
Okay.
But it could be possible. But if we run out of money or something, that could be an option. But we haven't planned it for now. I would prefer to release it as a full game.
Right. So basically, you have like the copies we have on Steam. That's for like a closed testing period.
Yeah.
That's for a closed test. Okay. I got to admit, I think that's probably the better way to go. We're actually going to, I think, have a show coming up soon where we talk about how great and how terrible early access can be.
Mm-hmm.
So, I honestly think in this case, and you have to go game by game. But I think you guys are making the right call, keeping it closed. So well done there. And it's also good that you don't have to because a lot of people see early access as just asking for money before a game is done. Mm-hmm. So it's good you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So folks,
we were lucky to get some funding from the government, so we can.
Oh really?
Work. Yeah.
Wait, the government is partially funding your game development?
Yes,
oh, yeah.
I'm actually glad you said it because we should actually mention that.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Big shout out to the Norwegian Film Institute, who's currently funding the development of Age of Space. This is all thanks to you. Thank you very much, Norwegian Film Institute.
And Innovation Norway.
Yeah, Innovation Norway as well.
If you got, can you send me in a private message, send me links to those so I can add them to the post so people can get more information about that? Because that's fascinating. You don't hear about that.
Cool.
Yeah, you don't hear about that over here. Really. So that's my mind is kind of blown by that. That's great. So
yeah.
Thank you. Is it Norwegian? Is that how you say it? Norwegian?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Norwegian Film Institute.
Thank you, Norwegian government. I just want to make sure for helping fund Age of Space. That's great. I mean that means you don't have to basically beg for money before it's released. So that's great.
Exactly.
Yep. So might you offer folks if they want to go to your website and buy into early access, will you maybe do alpha funding? Is that a possibility? Because people might want to jump into this early,
Yeah, well, the best way, I guess, is kind of just to ask.
Okay.
We have our own Discord server, so you can just join there if you're interested in the game. And we need some dedicated testers, so...
Okay,
and
that is linked on your site, right? That is linked on the Age of Space website. Okay, great. All right, I'll definitely include that in the post. Great. So, folks, again, the game is Age of Space. It's going to come out in about a year, and they're looking for some dedicated folks, not just looking for a free copy of the game on you, but to actually get in there, test it, give them feedback, that sort of thing. So, if you're interested, it's, what the heck is what's the domain? It's aosgame.com. And that'll also be, it's also in the description for the video, but it'll also be on the MP3 post. That'll go up in a couple of days. So just a couple of quick programming notes before we wrap up. This Thursday, we're taking a break from our board game extravaganza. If you're not aware, we're going to be playing board games for the next 3 weeks, maybe almost a month. We played one last week. We got a few more to play. But since we're doing Borderlands 2 monthly, it's time for some more Borderlands this week. So that's what we're going to be playing on Thursday. And then the next show, the next week's podcast, we're getting serious, folks. The topic for next week's podcast is what I've entitled The Beginning, Middle, and Eventual End of the Space Game Renaissance. Because we are in a space game resurgence, renaissance of sorts. But it's going to end. These things happen in cycles. I mean, something's going to kill it. It's going to stop. So we're going to talk about what started it, kind of where we are now, and how we think it's going to end probably sooner rather than later. So that's going to be our upbeat topic next week. Finally, I want to thank our Patreon subscribers for helping keep the lights on around here. If you're interested, you go to patreon.com/spacegamejunkie. Every dollar helps pay for the cost of running spacegamejunkie.com. And I have already started working on a merch shop, so soon we're going to have new tiers where you're going to get access to stickers. If you don't listen to the Greatest Generation podcast, my friends, that's an in-joke. But if you like Star Trek The Next Generation or Deep Space Nine, you should be listening to the Greatest Generation podcast. It's really great. And there's an ad for this show on one of their episodes that I paid for.
Paid in part for by viewers like Brian.
Yes, by owners like me. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Co-hosts, thank you for asking great questions, like you always do. Do your co-host thing. And, folks, we will see you next time. Have a great night. Bye-bye.